Hello, this is Mario Lillard, aka Anonymous, also known as The Anonymous on Twitch.tv, sponsored by Team Hard Knocks and Card Monster Games. Feel free to check out Card Monster Games storefront at cardmonstergames.tcgplayerpro.com. I'm creating this video today to discuss a deck that I've been playing over the last several weeks known as French Jeskai. It made a splash in the Magic Championship that happened earlier in December, and I saw the list and loved the fact that it played no creatures. So a lot of the spot removal that you see in some of these decks, it really doesn't apply to do anything against this deck. Given, yes, Frastus Contempt can still hit our Planeswalkers, pretty much it's dead otherwise. So the win condition of this deck is the Teferi Mill Strat, where you can exile your opponent's permanents and just keep tucking Teferi until you deck your opponent. You can also win by Rouse Zarek's Ultimate, in which whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, it deals 4 damage to any target and you get to draw 2 cards. The primary win condition, however, is Fight with Fire, along with Expansion Explosion. It, there were previous Jeskai control decks towards the beginning weeks of Ravnica's Standard, but it was missing that element of Fight with Fire in the main, where Expansion Explosion typically wasn't enough to get the job done quickly enough. But with Fight with Fire, it kind of gives you that consistent reach over a quick turn or two. Because you can either go Mirari's Conjecture on, story 3, you double the Fight with Fire, or on 11 mana, you can Fight with Fire into expansion to copy it to do a clean 20. Even games where your opponent's at 30 or 40 of life, you can just go deep into the late game, do a Fight with Fire and copy it. The second Fight with Fire 1 or 2 times with expansion. Or if your opponent is like in the mid to high 20s, you can use the first expansion explosion or two to just get them, you know, low enough where the third expansion will actually just kill with a fight with fire. So this matchup, as far as the matchups, the good ones are green black. Um, the Drake's list that doesn't play dive down, and then the white weenie decks. Um, Everything else except for mono blue aggro feels pretty moderate. The version of green black that plays Elders Reborn and Plague Crafter post board can be a bit challenging, but at that point it's still a very moderate matchup. A couple of things to know about this deck. Coming exclusively from MTG Arena with this deck, I did make the mistake when I was playing paper that I tried to counter my opponent's Niv Mizzet. Um, More out of panic than anything else because I didn't really have a clean answer to it on an untap. So just remember, Niv Mizzet is uncounterable. It's pretty easy to get tunnel vision into, oh, my opponent's going to draw extra cards, but that can't be countered as a pretty important text. The other thing that I learned over yesterday's PPTQ is that explosion can target your opponent. Um, there was a instance where I couldn't go for the multiple explosion kill because I would deck myself. So I skipped out on using multiple. Well, what I did is I skipped out on using explosion and then using another expansion to copy it while Mirai's conjecture was on page 3 because I was concerned about milling myself. But in all reality, I could have just had my opponent be the one who draw the cards and I would have been fine. So it pretty much let my opponent play about 4 additional turns until I drew the final copy of Fight with Fire that I had in my deck. So that was one misstep that I made that luckily didn't cost me the game. On another note about decking yourself, Rao's Ultimate, where whenever you cast an instant sorcery, it deals 4 damage to any target and draw 2 cards. It was a point in that game where if I cast any more than 3 instant sorceries, I would have decked myself. And I had to call the judge to see the ruling on, okay, do I lose the game only if I am unable to draw a card on my draw step, or if I try to draw any cards? So luckily, I had the presence of mind to ask the judge that question before I decided to ultimate rouse Zarek, because I would have threw the game. Um, and that's another thing, if you're not absolutely sure about something, don't be afraid to call a judge. It's not embarrassing. There's no such thing as a dumb question. What's unfortunate is if you are afraid to ask a question and you end up losing because of it. So no matter how good you think you are, no matter how in-depth knowledge you think you may have about the rules, if you're not 100% certain, ask a judge. That's what they're there for. So I'm not sure if anyone else has kind of noticed this, but between MTG Arena, like traditional standard events or traditional constructed events, and competitive paper Magic and standard, it feels kind of like 2 different formats. And I was surprised by that. I came into understanding that, hey, playing best of one on MTG Arena probably will not give me the reps I want to translate into competitive standard. Um, but it was also kind of the same case on traditional constructed on MTG Arena, where it's best 2 out of 3. A lot of matchups I see on Arena, I didn't see represented at all in this PPTQ. Given there was only 18 players, but still, there was no representation of some of the decks I play against more often than not in Arena. Um, I say that because while playing Arena, I undervalue Revitalize. In the black green matchup, a lot of people recommend taking out 1 or 2 ionizers. I prefer to take out 2 Revitalize. Um, and I went into this PPTQ with the same boarding strategy against green black, and there was a lot of instances where I would have died if I didn't have Revitalize, like in multiples. So just a word of warning, like the MVP of this deck is Revitalize. And the reason I say that is one of the major weaknesses of this deck is that you are lacking proactive plays turns 1, 2, and 3. So Revitalize pads your life total against like the aggressive creature draws, and also lets you draw a card to hopefully hit more land or hit the Chemist's Insight that really is the link to this deck setting off into Teferi turns or a decent Clarion or Settled Wreckage. So Revitalize followed by Chemist's Insight, those are 2 of the most important cards of this deck. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at anonymous@teamheartknocks.com. Also, reach us at Team Heart Knocks on Facebook. And yeah, all the feedback is welcome, and I hope you have a great evening.